On this episode, Dad sews a three-tiered ruffled skirt.
Dad sews! Dad sews! Dad sews! Dad sews! Dad sews! Dad sews! This is how it goes with Dad sews!
Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for the latest episode of Dad Sews. Now we are going to be sewing together a three-tiered ruffle skirt for my daughter who does not like to wear skirts, but I assure you she's gonna love this skirt based on the fabric that she and I recently picked out at the fabric store. Now traditionally a three-tiered ruffle skirt is made by running a stitch through the fabric and then gathering it to make that ruffle. I don't want to go through that trouble. I'm a guy, I'm a dad. If there's a machine that can do this for me, I want to do it. And that's why I'm going to be using for the first time my new ruffled sewing foot. That's right, I've got a brand new ruffled sewing foot for my machine, and like all Dad Sews videos, you are seeing me use it for the first time. I do this for your amusement, for your enjoyment, and often for my own failure. Now for a three-tiered ruffle skirt to work, you're gonna need 6 strips of fabric. Our base tier is made out of this love fabric, which I got from my daughter because I want to remind her that, hey, Dad loves you. Now she loves the Avengers and loves Hulk. So I got this awesome Hulk and Iron Man fabric for her. And I've got classic Avengers with Spider-Man. This one is super awesome. But the pièce de résistance, I've got Black Widow fabric for her. Now, Black Widow stuff is hard to find. Disney and Marvel don't think it's financially viable to make this stuff for girls. They don't make many female action figures. You can't find a Black Widow shirt in the store. If you find an Avengers shirt, Black Widow's missing. What is she out getting her hair done, getting her nails did? Come on, Marvel and Disney. It is financially viable. My daughter wants this stuff. I'm a dad and I'm trying to push up the girl power thing to my daughter and I can't get her this stuff. So start making more stuff with Black Widow on it, please. I like making stuff for my daughter, but I would love to just buy her a Black Widow shirt now and then. Thanks, Disney. Please listen. All right. Now the first tier, like I said, is this love fabric. Now I cut the strips selvage to selvage. Hey, all you ladies that corrected me on how I say selvage wrong, I did it right. It's almost like the first time I was saying it, I had never sewn before. Yeah, that's because the first time I was saying it, I had never sewn before. So I just cut the fabric selvage to selvage. I know I'm going to be dealing with some waste. I know that my daughter's waist is only 21 inches around, and this is excessive. But I've never used this ruffle foot before, and I don't know how much fabric it's going to gather or push into its ruffles. So I want to have some extra fabric since this is my first time around. On my second project, I'll know and I'll be able to save a little fabric, but it's worth it to me to go ahead and cut it long now. I've got all of my strips at 5 inches once I've hemmed them. I went ahead and hemmed before I got on camera because, hey, you don't need to see that. You can hem something. But each one has a hem at the top and the bottom, and it left it at 5 inches tall. Now, we're going to take our first base, and we're going to put our first ruffle tier right on it. Now, you're just going to sew them like this, and that way you have plenty of room on the top layer to put your elastic in when we're all done. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to hook up a ruffle foot on your machine. I am going to put a video below this video. It's made by Singer. It is very clear. Not all of their videos are clear. This one is excellent. It tells you how to take off your old foot and put on your ruffle foot, how to slide your fabric in. It's perfect. So watch it. Pause this now. Watch it if you need to. But we're going to move on to sewing now. Okay, like I said, you can check the video below to see how to slide the fabric into the ruffle foot. Now we're going to put the bottom piece of fabric, the connector piece, the waistband piece, we're going to hang it out at the top 2 inches. You can see that right here. Then we're just going to push the pedal and go on the ruffle foot. Now, I have this set on a 6. You have an option of 1, 6, and 12, and star. A star means it's just going to sew regular. 12 means every 12 stitches it's going to put in a ruffle, every 6 or every 1. I'm going to go with every 6, and we will see how that goes. All right, now once you put it in, you drop the foot, you push in this ruffle piece, it kind of sinks it up right there, and then you're supposed to drop down the needle. All right, and then we sew. All right, this is pretty cool, and I'm not going too fast. I want a nice slow rhythm because I don't want to screw anything up. But it looks like it is putting a nice ruffle in. The bottom piece of fabric stays pretty straight. I'm gonna stop for 1 second here, straighten out my fabric. I've got it hanging down, I was kind of leaning on it. I don't want to grab it, but I also want to hold it nice and steady. Now I cut both of these strips even. When we're done, the bottom base fabric should be much longer than the ruffle fabric. I can already tell I've done a poor job of keeping my 2-inch allowance up at the top. I'll just have to adjust that when I put in my elastic. But as far as the ruffle goes, that looks pretty sweet. Like I said, I'm making this for my daughter just because she doesn't have a lot of options for superhero stuff, just cool stuff that she's into, and it's a real bummer. Because there's lots of cool kids' clothes for boys, but just not a lot of superhero stuff for girls. All right, we're almost at the end here. Like I said, I didn't do too good a job on the waist. Well, let's just see what we've got going. All right, let's lift up our foot. Ooh, all right, I'm gonna take my little trusty Fisker snips. These things are awesome. You just put your finger in this way. Some people hold them with their thumb in like this. My little toddler, Ollie, who's 2.5, he likes using these as scissors. Loves these little snips. Okay, there we go. That's not a bad looking ruffle. I'll put it on the close-up camera here so you can see it. That is pretty neat. Love, love, love Iron Man. Love, love, love Hulk. That's pretty cool. Now, as you can see, where I started, I kept a better allowance where I'm going to be putting my elastic than I did at the end. Let's see if they compare here and match up. It's not too bad. Not too bad. I'll be able to hide that when I sew my elastic in. All we're going to do is sew all of the tiers now. I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back for the connection step. Okay, now I am done sewing my 3 tiers together. I have my underneath piece of fabric and my ruffle piece of fabric. There you go, tier 1. And actually that's tier 2. This is tier 1. And tier 3 actually got a little jacked up, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be hidden underneath the ruffle above it. So you can kind of allow for a little bit of mistakes with this job, which is super nice. All right, now what we're going to do now is we're going to connect our tiers. So we're going to take our ruffle, we're going to flip it over, and you see the tier that's underneath that. We're just going to connect it with the top of the other ruffle. Here, I'll show it to you here. Just hold it up like so. There's our bottom of our top tier, and then we're just going to sew this together with our straight foot, and then when it's together, it'll look like this. And you've got your first ruffle. All right, so let's move to the sewing machine. Okay, now how much you connect your ruffles to your tiers is up to you. It depends on how high you want your skirt, how high you want your ruffles, how much of each ruffle you want to see. I want to see almost all of the ruffle, so I'm connecting just the bottom of my top tier to the right above the top of my ruffle. Helps if you put the foot down. Some of you just heard that and you're like, oh my gosh, the foot is not even down. This guy is a moron. I'm not going to argue with you there. This is what, my 14th, 15th project? I still qualify as a sewing moron. I'll take it. One thing you want to be very careful of is you don't accidentally get any of your ruffle under your sewing foot. whether it's underneath the fabric, beside the fabric. If you do that, you're gonna be ripping seams and undoing, you know, the job because you've sewn your ruffle down. You want your ruffle to float freely. Let that ruffle flag fly. All right, this is super simple. Now, like I said, I cut my tiers very long because I wanted to measure them against my daughter, and I will have some excess fabric. Don't yell at me. I will try not to waste it. I will use it on another project. All right, almost done, almost done. All right, I'm not even gonna worry about back stitching because that's probably gonna get trimmed off. All right, we take our little Fisker snips here and we cut that. All right, there we go. 2 tiers together. Hey, that doesn't look bad, does it? I'm pretty happy with that. And I guess if I wasn't happy with how tall it was, I could always come in here, cinch them together, and make it a little shorter. So if it's too long, you can always make it just a little shorter. That's easy to do. I'm gonna go ahead and sew on my 3rd tier, and then we're gonna wrap this baby up. Okay, I went ahead and trimmed the excess away with my Fisker pinking shears. Now we're just gonna fold over the top edge to make a casing for our elastic. Make sure you tuck all of your fabric in there when you're sewing. Now, I am envious of some of you that have those machines with another foot of clearance on the right side. Those quilting machines that I see a lot of you sewing with. Super jealous of that because you've got tons of room to kind of shove fabric in there. You don't even have to shove fabric in there. It just slides right through all pretty like. But that's okay. I love my little green machine. We call it Billy Joe. Just like the little singer of Green Day. Love my Singer Fashion Mate. It's a wonderful machine and it's gotten everything done that I've asked it to. If you want to know what kind of machine we use, the exact model, it's at dadsews.com on the About Us page. All right, we're almost done with this. My casing is a little thin. It's not quite as big as my elastic, which means my elastic's going to be rolled up a bit. That's all right. Ooh, I got a little off track there. All right, we'll just pretend that I wasn't worrying more about talking to the camera than sewing. All right, there we go. We've got a nice little casing for our elastic. I'm gonna go ahead and run my elastic through. All you do is take a couple safety pins, put it at each end, match them up, and then we're gonna finish with the last step of our skirt. Okay, now we're ready to connect our skirt in the back. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, that's not how you make one of these skirts. You're supposed to sew the top tier, make it into a circle, put it aside, sew the middle tier into a circle, put it aside, sew the bottom tier into a circle, put it aside, then you attach the tiers. Yes, that is the classic way of doing this, and if you're making it for somebody else, you should definitely do it that way. If you're making it to sell, you should definitely do it that way. I'm making it for my daughter who's getting ready to turn 8, and I like her to have clothes last a little more than 3 to 6 months. And this skirt is going to last her another half to full size because I'm leaving a little slop in the size. I'm gonna tuck in the back of this skirt, I'm gonna sew it together, and then when she grows out a little, I can pop the seam, I can widen the skirt, and I've got a little more time. Now, fabric is expensive. Buying clothes at the store that are quality is expensive. So I like to build a little bit of slop into my clothes. You might think it's a sloppy way of sewing, but I think it's forward thinking, at least for this dad. Okay, now I've gone ahead and I've sewn a quick seam on this side. Now I'm just gonna fold over this back, connect them like so, and I am done. Okay, now I'm just gonna follow the seam that I did on this other end. Be careful you've got your skirt looped around the bottom of your machine, otherwise you're gonna sew it together with the other side. I've done similar things on other projects, people. Trust me, it happens. Now, the hardest thing you're going to deal with is the thickness of some of the ruffles. Don't worry about it. Your machine can handle it. Just make sure you go slow. You can pull it a little if you need to. Like the turtle, slow and steady wins the race. Trying to stay as close to that other hem as I can. I'm not always worried about the project looking perfect because it's usually my first project. I'm sewing it for the first time in front of you. But if I was sewing it for somebody else, sure, I would take a lot more care with it. But this is a can I do it? This is a how you can do it on Dad Sews. And it's, you know, it's a learning project. All right, there we go. There is our finished girl-powered skirt. Now, I did not sew over the elastic here. I'm probably just gonna tack that in so that when I do expand the skirt when my daughter grows, I've got a little more elastic that I can stretch out or tighten up there if needed. It's an awesome girl power skirt. It's got Avengers up top, old school Avengers in the middle tier, and of course, our Black Widow fabric, since you can never find that much Black Widow stuff for girls. If you are confused by any of my steps, it's simple. It's just 6 strips of fabric. You have the bottom layer for your top tier and then the ruffle. Your middle layer, your middle ruffle. Your bottom layer, your bottom ruffle. We use our ruffle foot and it simply makes the ruffles for you. But if you want to learn how to do it the old-fashioned way, run a stitch through it and gather it. Just go on YouTube and look up gathering thread. You're going to find a ton of options. And then you're going to say, hey man, that ruffle foot's pretty cheap. What does it cost, Christian? 15 bucks. Go ahead and get it. Give it a try. All right, 6 strips of fabric. You cut it as long as you need it. You cut it as deep as you need it. And you can make a ruffle skirt for your daughter or maybe for you. I don't know, maybe there's a fella out there that would like a ruffled kilt. Go for it, dude. Stay tuned and you'll see pictures of my daughter wearing and probably spinning around in her awesome skirt. Thank you for watching Dad Sews. Please click the subscribe button right below here. There's a reminder for you. Click subscribe. That way you keep up with all of the new videos on Dad Sews. And don't forget, we've still got some sew, fail, repeat shirts and men's and women's up to 3X. You can go online and check that out. Just sold another one today, so they're going fast. Thank you for watching and viewing and sharing Dad Sews. Sew, fail, repeat. We'll see you next time. This production is brought to you by the Plaid Dad Blog Podcast Network. For more information, visit plaiddadblog.com.